All right, everyone. Let's start with this synopsis part, compounds containing nitrogen. The first base part, what we have is about the classification and the nomenclature of amines. Amines, we all know, they are nothing but they are the alkyl or aryl derivatives of ammonia, classified into three parts, that is primary, secondary, and tertiary, depending on the number of hydrogen atoms of ammonia replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. All right. So if we have RNH2 or ARNH2, that's a primary amine. When two hydrogen atoms of ammonia are replaced by two similar or dissimilar alkyl or aryl groups, then we have the compound RNHR-, which we call it as a 2-degree amine. And when all the three hydrogen atoms of ammonia are replaced by similar or dissimilar alkyl or aryl groups, then we have a 3-degree amine. So in amines, remember the classification is with respect to the nature of nitrogen atom and not carbon atom. So whenever I see NH2, that's my amino group called primary amine. NH, that's a secondary amine, that's called the imino group with 2 valency short. And only N, that's a tertiary amine or a 3-degree nitrogen atom, what we call. We also have classification of simple and mixed amines, which is only with 2-degree and 3-degree amines. So wherever we have R and R-, we can classify the concept of what we can call as nothing but simple and mixed. So if both the alkyl or aryl groups are same, then that's a simple or a symmetrical amine. And if both the alkyl or aryl groups are dissimilar, then that's called a mixed or an unsymmetrical amine. So in case of secondary, both the alkyl or aryl similar is simple or symmetrical. Both dissimilar is mixed or unsymmetrical. Same way for tertiary, all three similar is simple or symmetrical, and all three dissimilar is mixed or unsymmetrical, that way. So this is the part. So look at those examples. Dimethylamine, triethylamine, that's all are same. So simple amines. Mixed or unsymmetrical amines, that's ethyl methylamine, and other one is, look at that, N-ethyl, N-methyl aniline over there. That's mixed amines. Then next comes QAS. What exactly is QAS? Quaternary ammonium salts are derivatives of ammonium salts obtained by the replacement of all the 4 hydrogen atoms directly attached to the nitrogen atom by similar or dissimilar alkyl or aryl groups. So you replace from nitrogen, if you observe, so they are derivatives of ammonium salts. So ammonium is NH4Cl, so 4 hydrogen. Replace all the 4H, where 3 are covalently bonded, one is a coordinate covalent bond. So when all the 4 valencies are separated by similar or dissimilar alkyl or aryl groups, then that's what we call as a QAS, quaternary ammonium salt, when nitrogen is quadricovalent, uni-electrovalent. Quadricovalent, 4 covalent bonds, that is 3 covalent, pure covalent, 1 coordinate covalent, uni-electrovalent, 1 is an ionic or an electrovalent bond. So look at that. Tetramethyl ammonium iodide. I'm just showing you one so that you have an idea. Nitrogen. So tetramethyl, 3 are purely covalent, that's a coordinate covalent bond, plus and I minus. So between cation and anion, that's an ionic bond. All right. Same way tetraethyl ammonium hydroxide, and same way the next one also. Now structure and optical activity of amines. Now nitrogen is sp3 hybridized. I discussed with you, nitrogen can show 3 hybridizations: sp3, sp2, and sp. sp3, 3 sigma bonds and 1 lone pair is sp3. 2 sigma, 1 lone pair, 1 pi, that's sp2. And last for sp, 1 sigma, 1 lone pair, and 2 pi bonds. That's where nitrogen is sp hybridized. Okay. So 3 sigma, 1 lone pair, sp3. Then 2 sigma over there, 1 lone pair, sp2. 1 sigma, 1 lone pair, sp hybridized. So that's a distorted tetrahedral. That's a pyramidal geometry. Bond angle of 107 degrees, 18 minutes, due to the lone pair bond pair repulsion is greater than bond pair repulsion. That's according to the VSEPR, valence shell electron repulsion theory, which we have done in chemical bonding. All right. Because the lone pair is occupied on a central atom, lone pair occupies more space, exerts more repulsion. So the bond angle decreases from 109 degrees, 28 minutes to 107 degrees, 18 minutes in 1 degree and 2 degree amines. But in 3 degree amines, there is steric hindrance. What is steric hindrance? Three-dimensional rotation of atoms or groups in space, which will block the path of the incoming group. That's called steric hindrance. So because of the bulky alkyl groups, the bond angle increases from 107 degrees to 108 degrees. That's the structure what we have of trimethylamine. Nitrogen with the lone pair and the 3 methyl groups at the 3 corners of the pyramid. Now this next part, what I'm talking is an extra part. Normally we have seen in halogen derivatives is the optical activity with respect to the chiral carbon. Your optical activity is there with respect to nitrogen also. It's an extra part. Just understand that, what it says. Due to the pyramidal nature, 3 degree amines have 3 different groups. If there are 3 different alkyl groups, it should be chiral and hence resolvable. What do you mean by resolvable? It should be resolved into its dextro and levo forms. But in practice, tertiary amines have never been resolved. What is the reason? The energy difference between the enantiomers. Enantiomer, dextro and levo. Enantio means opposites, dextro and levo parts of such amines. The difference between the energy gap is very small, just 25 kilojoules per mole. And hence they rapidly interconvert into one another by a process called nitrogen inversion or amine inversion. So from an MCQ point, what can be said is, if nitrogen is attached to 3 different groups, then it should show optical activity, but 3 degree amines cannot be resolved into its dextro and levo forms. The reason is this, remember this word, nitrogen inversion or amine inversion. During this nitrogen inversion, hybridized state changes from sp3 to sp2 to give a planar structure, which in turn can either revert the starting amine 1 or its enantiomer. So look at that diagram carefully now. On the left hand side, we had nitrogen, which is sp3 hybridized. Because of the less energy barrier, it gets converted into a planar structure. Here the hybridized state is sp2, trigonal planar. And then it again converts back to sp3 over there. So with respect to the transition going from sp3 to sp2 and back to sp3, we say you cannot resolve the enantiomers. That's why it says racemization of tertiary amines via nitrogen inversion. What is racemization? Racemization is basically converting the racemic mixture into its dextro and levo forms. So because they cannot be resolved over here, is this clear? We say one enantiomer just changes into another. So in one situation, if you observe, the lone pair is headed in one direction. In the other one, the lone pair is headed in the opposite direction. That's where it says the enantiomer part is formed over there. All right, but you can't separate the two. That's one. Then the next one we have, since the rate of inversion is very high, look at that. It's 2.3 into 10 raised to 10 per second. Matlab it is changing that rapidly from dextro to levo or vice versa. Therefore, tertiary amines, though chiral, exist as racemic mixtures which cannot be resolved. This is the point to understand. That's it. What it says, however, if the lone pair of electron on nitrogen is bonded to a 4th substituent, then racemization due to nitrogen inversion cannot occur. So it says if the lone pair of electrons is bonded to the 4th atom, matlab like a QAS, then it says, then in that case, racemization due to nitrogen inversion will not happen. Those are basically quaternary ammonium salts over there, and those are optically active. Look at those compounds. Top group is allyl, so it's allyl, benzyl, methyl, phenyl, ammonium iodide. That's optically active because there the one of the lone pair is donated. Hence it says this is going to be a chiral compound. Or look at this compound. With respect to oxygen, it's an oxide. That's ethyl, methyl, phenylamine oxides. That's one. Then going to its nomenclature. Nomenclature, common system, they are called alkyl amines, where we write the alkyl group followed by the word amine. For 2 degree and 3 degree amines, if similar groups are present, the prefix di and tri can be used over there. IUPAC, they are called alkanamine, where parent alkane replace E by the word amine over there. For aromatic amines, generally the compound that is aniline. Is this clear? The name aniline is used in common as well as the IUPAC systems over there, but we can also use another name over there. Aniline can also be called as benzene amine. Special rules are there, like compounds like ortho, meta, para, toluidine. That's benzene ring with NH2 and CH3 groups, or ortho, para, meta, methyl aniline, or ortho, para, meta, anisidine, or methoxyaniline. These are the some of the names which are considered in the common as well as the IUPAC names. And N-phenyl derivatives are generally called the diphenyl amine derivatives. Then aniline, as I said, that's called benzene amine. Then the next part to talk, some of the compounds over there, that's aniline or benzene amine. You can use aniline also. N-methyl aniline or N-methyl benzene amine. Same way, N-ethyl aniline or N-ethyl benzene amine. And same way for tertiary, N, N, when nitrogen is like a number, it is used to indicate the position of the alkyl groups because nitrogen valency is 3. So N-dimethyl aniline or N-dimethyl benzene amine. Now going to the methods of preparation. First one, very important, Hofmann's ammonolysis. What it says, when alkyl halides, that's RX, are heated with alcoholic ammonia in a sealed tube at around 373 Kelvin, it will give a mixture of all primary, secondary, tertiary along with QS. Hey, that's why we say Hofmann's ammonolysis is not a good method to prepare primary amines because separating the mixture of all the four, primary, secondary, tertiary, and QS is very difficult. But here we can do one thing. What is that? Please observe this, everybody. It says with excess of ammonia, about 10 times ammonia is more. 1 degree amine is the main product, but with excess of alkyl halide, QS is the main product. That's why to write the reaction for Hofmann's ammonolysis, to get primary amine as a major product, alkyl halide reacts with excess of alcoholic ammonia in a sealed tube under pressure, then primary amine is the major product, along with minor quantities of secondary, tertiary, and quaternary ammonium salt. But if you take excess of alkyl halide, then we get a mixture of all where QS is the major product. That's one. Second is the reduction part, reduction of nitro compounds, where you convert NO2 to NH2 group. Here both aliphatic and aromatic nitro compounds can be reduced with hydrogen, with Raney nickel, platinum, or palladium. We have discussed what's Raney nickel. Raney nickel is an alloy of nickel and aluminium, and the surface is leached, the surface is rubbed with caustic soda, that's NaOH. The surface becomes so rough that this piece of Raney nickel can catch fire at room temperature. That's Raney nickel, 1:1 ratio of nickel and aluminium. Or in acidic medium, that is zinc or tin, is in presence of Conc HCl or Fe with Conc HCl. So we have zinc, tin, or SnCl2, that is stannous chloride, or Fe with Conc HCl. All NO2 group is reduced to NH2 group. Very important point, next one now. Aliphatic nitro compounds on reduction with lithium aluminum hydride, they give 1 degree amine. Aliphatic means open chain compounds. Whereas aromatic nitro compounds under similar condition gives azo compounds. Azo is one of the derivative that is basically the dyes, which is N double bond N. So they will be formed. So look at the reactions. Nitroethane with lithium aluminum hydride will give ethanamine, and the same nitroethane 2 moles, that is the aromatic amine. Aliphatic gives you primary amine. Carbon atom remains the same number of carbon atoms. But here the 2-phenyl will form paraphenyl azobenzene. Azo is N double bond N. Paraphenyl means on the opposite position of it. So paraphenyl azobenzene, or you can say Azobenzene also would be correct. That's it. Because at para position as such, there is nothing. So you can just call it as phenylazobenzene. Then next one, in neutral medium, that is with zinc dust and ammonium chloride, you will have N-phenyl hydroxylamines. Hydroxylamines is NHOH. This is basically a reaction of, if anybody has gone through, it is the reaction of nitroalkane. Is this clear? So if you take alkyl or aryl nitroalkane with zinc and HCl, you will get N-alkyl hydroxylamine. Hydroxylamines we have done in aldehydes and ketones. That is, aldehydes or ketones react with hydroxylamine to give respective oximes. That's the part. These hydroxylamines, when warmed with Tollens reagent, they are oxidized to corresponding nitroso derivative. Nitroso is N double bond O, the yellow oily liquid, and thus reduce Tollens reagent to metallic silver. That's called Baker-Mulliken test. It's an extra point. Is that clear? So Baker-Mulliken test is basically nothing but where we say nitroalkanes react with zinc and NH4HCl to form N-alkyl hydroxylamine, which are easily oxidized to corresponding nitroso compounds when warmed with Tollens reagent, where Tollens reagent will itself get reduced to silver mirror. Next is the reduction part. This is also an extra point. What we have, all this what I'm showing you now are the extra reactions of nitroalkanes only. So nitroalkanes undergoes bimolecular reduction. Matlab two molecules will be reduced. So with 6 nascent hydrogen, that is with sodium arsenite and NaOH, it forms azoxybenzene. With 8 nascent hydrogen, zinc and NaOH and alcohol, it forms azobenzene. And with 10 nascent hydrogen, it forms hydrazobenzene. All these are extra, so don't bother with that. Okay. Next one important, nitroalkanes, if you carry out electrolytic reduction in a weakly acidic medium, it gives aniline. So NO2 is replaced by NH2. But if it is a strongly acidic medium, then it gets converted to respective para-aminophenol. Mark this important. Nitrobenzene with electrolytic reduction in a strongly acidic medium, it gets converted to a para-aminophenol. That's an important part. Then next, this one is an extra point again. Selective reduction, that's with ammonium sulfide or sodium sulfide. Meta-dinitrobenzene gets converted to meta-nitroaniline. So if you have meta-dinitrobenzene, one of the NO2 group gets converted to NH2 groups. That is with ammonium sulfide or with sodium sulfide. That's one. Then in this extra, whatever is important, I'll tell you that you have to go through. Next one, very important reaction. Mendes reduction, one of the best reduction. Remember, there are 3 reduction reactions. Reduction of cyanides, reduction of nitroalkanes, reduction of oximes. Out of the 3, Mendes reduction is the best reduction method. Why? Because it's only in Mendes reduction we say that there are no byproducts. So the amine formed is going to be pure and the carbon chain increases by 1. You don't add any new carbon atom, but the C of the cyanide gets converted into an alkyl group. So look at that. Cyanides on reduction with hydrogen or nickel, or with lithium aluminum hydride, or with sodium and ethanol. That is 4 nascent hydrogen. It gives 1 degree amines, whereas isocyanides on reduction gives 2 degree amine. So that's a part. So look at that, cyanides. So if you add 4 nascent hydrogen, or molecular hydrogen is 2 moles, 2 will go to this carbon and 2 will go to this nitrogen, you will get ethylamine. So technically, if you see, acetonitrile is nothing but methyl cyanide. So in methyl cyanide, the alkyl group was only methyl. It became ethylamine. 1 carbon increase. You didn't add any new carbon atom, but it was the C of the cyanide that got converted into an alkyl group. And same way isocyanide, which are also called carbylamines, like phenylcarbylamine, that on reduction, again 4 nascent hydrogen, 1 will go to nitrogen, 3 will go to the isocyanides ka C. You will get respective N-methylaniline. In fact, with isocyanides, the 2 degree amine comes with a drawback. And what is that drawback? One of the alkyl is always methyl. So cyanides on reduction, primary amine, isocyanates on reduction gives 2 degree amine with a drawback. One of the alkyl is always methyl. That's one. Then next comes reduction of amides. Now amides also we have three types: primary, secondary, tertiary. So CONH2, that's a primary amide. CONH, that's a secondary amine. And third we have is CON, that's gonna be a 3 degree amide. All amides on reduction with lithium aluminum hydride gives corresponding 1 degree, 2 degree and 3 degree amines. So a primary amide CONH2 will give a primary amine. Secondary amide CONH will give a 2 degree amine. And a tertiary amide CON will give a 3 degree amine. Reduction of oximes. Remember the preparation of oximes, what I said? Aldehydes and ketones react with hydroxylamine NH2OH to give respective oximes. So if I talk about oximes, the group C double bond NOH. So if you take an aldehyde or a ketone and react with hydroxylamine, it undergoes condensation reaction, removal of water to give the compound RCH double bond NOH. That's what we have as oximes. So oxime of aldehyde is called aldoxime. Oxime of ketone is called ketoxime. Both aldoximes and ketoximes on reduction with sodium and ethanol, which generates 4 nascent hydrogen. Both aldoxime or ketoxime will give primary amine. And once again, do not look at the nature of carbon. Look at the nature of nitrogen. So whenever I see the NH2 group, blind, it's a primary amine. Because sometimes what happens, halogen derivatives, alcohols, we always look at the nature of carbon, not the nature of nitrogen. So over there in alcohols over there, we look at the nature of carbon there. That's why if you see in this part, secondary amine, if I see the nature of this carbon, that's a 2 degree one. But the amine is not 2 degree. Amine is still 1 degree. Then this is the reduction of azides. Azides are basically sodium salts of ammonia, what we have. NaN3 plus. NaN3, that is Na plus N3 minus. When it reacts with alkyl halide, is this clear? Then it forms an alkyl azide, which on reductions. So how are basically, over there, the alkyl azides on reduction gives primary amine and it liberates nitrogen gas. So reduction of azides. So azides on reduction with hydrogen with platinum or carbon or lithium aluminum hydride gives 1 degree amines. That is one. Then this is an extra reaction, but an important reaction. Hydrolysis of isocyanides. Now link it this way. Cyanides on hydrolysis. Cyanides undergo 2 types of hydrolysis. Cyanides on acid hydrolysis gives carboxylic acids. Cyanides on alkaline hydrolysis first gives you sodium salt of carboxylic acid, which on acidification gives you back carboxylic acid. So basically, cyanides on acid or alkaline hydrolysis will give you carboxylic acid with same number of carbon atoms. Whereas over here, isocyanides, if you hydrolyze, you will get a primary amine. Is this clear? And in this primary amine form, it will have 1 carbon atom less. That 1 carbon atom is given out as formic acid. So isocyanides, look at that, or carbylamine with dilute acids gives 1 degree amine containing 1 carbon less, which is given out as formic acid. So look at that reaction. Isocyanide with H plus, it forms an intermediate. Where you add water, it forms a compound which undergoes tautomerism to give you RN double bond CHOH. It's basically like an oxime group, which on hydrolysis gives you primary amine and a formic acid. So the whole reaction, if I have to write, you can put it up this way. Please specify this reaction, everybody, so it becomes easy for you. I'm writing a general reaction. RNC, that is isocyanides, react with 2 moles of water in presence of a weakly acidic medium. Then this is going to give you RNH2 plus 1 carbon atom short is given out as formic acid. So I'm just writing here 1 carbon less, and that's a 1 degree amine that will be formed. Mark this reaction important. So once again, to conclude, cyanides on acid or alkaline hydrolysis gives you carboxylic acid with same number of carbon atoms. Isocyanides on hydrolysis gives you primary amine with 1 carbon less. Same way reduction. Cyanides on reduction gives primary amine. Isocyanides on reduction gives 2-degree amine with a drawback. One of the alkyl is always methyl. That's one. Then, now additional reaction of isocyanides, we don't need this. Ye pura extra part hai. Like cyanides undergo addition, but the mode of the addition is different. In unusual addition, the electrophile adds to the atom and nucleophile adds to the other part. In isocyanides, the electrophile and nucleophile add to the same carbon atom. So look at that. Isocyanides, if you add with chlorine, you get the compounds alkyl amino carbonyl chloride. You don't need this. So just an extra point, so don't bother. Similarly, isocyanides react with. Ye bhi pura, isme, haan, this one reaction is important. With sulfur, ozone, or mercuric oxide to give corresponding addition compound. Like look at that compound, methyl isothiocyanate. Thio is for sulfur, what we have. So that's why N double bond C double bond S. That group is isothiocyanate. Next one, that's an important one. What we have as, look at that, methyl isocyanate with ozone gives you the compound methyl isocyanate, MIC. Isocyanate group is N double bond C double bond O. There was an MCQ also on this, if anybody remembers. Look at that. Isocyanate with HGO also gives you MIC, methyl isocyanate, N double bond C double bond O. That was the Bhopal gas tragedy by the Union Carbide factory. So remember the groups: isothiocyanate, N double bond C double bond S, isocyanate, N double bond C double bond O. That's one. Otherwise, additional reactions not required. Very important one, Gabriel Thalamide reaction. Now, before going to Gabriel Thalamide, I would like to go back to aldehyde ketones, carboxylic acid, just to recap. Phthalic acid, dicarboxylic acid, reacts with 2 moles of ammonia to form ammonium phthalate. Ammonium phthalate on heating, it will lose water molecule to give the compound phthalamide. Phthalamide, if you heat further, it loses the molecule of ammonia to give you phthalimide. That is this compound. So the whole conversion can start from phthalic acid onwards. This phthalimide reacts with an alkali to form its salt, potassium phthalimide, which reacts with an alkyl halide where the K and the I is out and the alkyl group is introduced in to give you N-alkyl phthalimide, which on acid or alkaline hydrolysis, it gives you respective primary amine. This reaction, everybody, is in contrast with what we had was Hoffman's ammonolysis reaction, because here over alkylation is avoided. So whatever, so in the exam MCQ point, very easy to understand, whatever is the alkyl halide used, that only will form you the primary amine. So if you use ethyl iodide, you get ethyl amine. That's it. So over alkylation is avoided there. And aryl halides will not give this reaction because it's difficult for nucleophilic substitution for them. That's why. Because they do not react with the anion of nothing but phthalimide. That's why. So remember this, this is basically a reaction, Gabriel Thalamide, where over alkylation can be avoided. Like how we said in Hoffman's reaction, if you take excess of alcoholic ammonia, still only primary is the major product. You do have minor quantities of 2 degree, 3 degree and QAS. In this case, whatever is your primary alkyl halide, only that will form the amine there. That's the part. That's Gabriel Thalamide. Then the next one we have, yes, a very important one, Hoffman's degradation or Hoffman's bromamide reaction. Now, over here, what is this part? Primary amide is converted to a primary amine with 1 carbon less. So with bromine in presence of KOH or NaOH, 1 degree amide gives 1 degree amine with 1 carbon less. What is 1 degree amide? CONH2. What's a 1 degree amine? NH2 with 1 carbon less, which is given out as its potassium salt, potassium carbonate, similar to what we had as decarboxylation reaction. Lithium aluminum hydride, while lithium aluminum hydride reduction of 1 degree amide gives 1 degree amine with same number of carbon atoms. So with LiLH4, you get a primary amine with same number. With bromine and KOH, you will get with 1 carbon less. So look at that. Propionamide, number of carbon atoms are 3. You get ethanamine, 2. So in the exam, be very simple. This CO from between of the amide should be removed. That's it. You will get ethylamine. Very easy to do. And that goes out as potassium carbonate. See that? That's how it is. Same way benzamide. So you have 6 carbon atoms, C6H5. So this CO and H2 ka CO will go out. You had aniline, which is given out as potassium carbonate. Mechanism is there. You don't have the mechanism. It's only for your understanding over there. Intermediate ka naam yaad rakho, somewhere over there. It is through the formation of an intermediate, acyl nitrene 2. Means nitrogen is in 2 oxidation state over there. -2 oxidation state. So look at that. Amide with bromide forms RCONHBr. That's an imine salt, which gets converted to an intermediate, acyl nitrene, which on rearrangement forms isocyanate, which gets converted to 1 degree amine. We don't have the mechanism in the syllabus, but from MCQ point, just remember this name, acyl nitrene. And what is acyl nitrene? RCON, when nitrogen has basically 2 lone pairs over there. Yeah. Okay. All this part is all okay. Now acetamide, 2 carbon atoms. So look at that. This CO is out. So that's methylamine. Acetamide, if you do with bromine and with sodium methoxide and methanol, then we get a different compound. That's a urethane, which is mainly used as a nothing but a polymer. That is methyl N-methyl carbamate. That's an addition part form. We don't have that part. It's an extra point. The methyl N-methyl carbamate is produced as an addition of methanol to methyl isocyanate, formed as an intermediate in the reaction. So here, if you see in the mechanism, we did have, if you observe in this category, when we spoke, isocyanate was formed, which got converted. So that's what it's trying to say. If you are using sodium methoxide with methanol, then the methyl isocyanate formed reacts with methanol and you get converted to methyl N-methyl carbamate. Carbamate is COOCH3. That's mainly used as a polymer. But that's an extra point, so don't worry again. Next reaction, Curtius reaction, ye bhi extra hai. It's basically acid chloride, like Hoffman's reaction. Curtius reaction, synthesis of 1 degree amine, acid azides, that's prepared by the action of acid chloride with sodium azide. So look at that, RCOCl. How is acid chloride prepared? We did in carboxylic acids part. That's over there, nothing but carboxylic acids react with PCl3, PCl5 or SOCl2 to give you acid chloride. With sodium azide, NaN3, it gives you acid azide, which on rearrangement gives you alkyl isocyanates. Isocyanates ends double bond C double bond O, which with KOH gives you primary amine and potassium carbonate. So again, the same way, this R is becoming its RNH2, 1 carbon less. That's Curtius rearrangement. But again, it's an extra point. Don't. Next part we have is reductive amination of aldehydes and ketones. This is the first part, what we have already done in aldehydes. If anybody remembers, look at that. With ammonia in the presence of a reducing agent like hydrogen or nickel or NaBH3CN. What is NaBH3CN? Please write the name. Sodium cyanoborohydride. That's one of the reducing agents. Aldehydes and ketones gives 1 degree amine. Now, if you remember, we had the first reaction. Aldehyde reacts with ammonia. We had aldimine. If anybody remembers, Schiff's base. Right? This is the part what we have. And that if you react further with hydrogen or with sodium cyanoborohydride, then it gets converted to primary amine. That's one. Same way ketones. If you react with ammonia, it forms a ketimine, which with on reduction with hydrogen or nickel gives you a 1 degree amine. It says if a 1 degree amine is used instead of ammonia, then a 2 degree amine would be obtained. We can convert primary to secondary and secondary to tertiary over here. That's the part. Then this reaction is also an extra point. converting carboxylic acid to a primary amine over there. It says acids react with hydrazoic acid, that is N3H, in presence of conc H2SO4 to form 1 degree amines, along with evolution of CO2 and N2. All these extra reactions, just do the ones which are common. Like in nitroalkanes, you have reaction with HNO2, nitrous acid. That's a very important reaction what is there, because it can be linked with respect to the Victor-Meyer's method, if anybody remembers what we have done in alcohols. All right, for primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohols. So that way, just 1-2 reactions here and there could be asked. Otherwise, direct reactions, all these not to do. Acids with hydrazoic acid gives you primary amine. Again, 1 carbon atom given out in the form of CO2. Coming to solubility. 1 degree, 2 degree amines, they form hydrogen bonds with water, but important, 3 degree amines, they don't form hydrogen bonding. Why? There is no H only. There's an electronegative atom, but there is no H. So they don't form hydrogen bonds. 1 degree and 2 degree will form. So the order of hydrogen bonding is primary as maximum because of NH2, 2 hydrogen, then secondary, and then tertiary amines. So tertiary, in fact, does not show H bonding. Aromatic amines are insoluble in water because of the large hydrocarbon part over there. Boiling points, hydrogen bonding is weaker in amines as compared to alcohols and carboxylic acids of comparable mass. All right. So remember the order of H bonding if it is asked. Maximum hydrogen bonding is in carboxylic acids. Why? Because of the formation of the ring structure, dimerization. Remember, no? Acetic acid in benzene undergoes dimerization. Then is alcohols. And then I have amines. That's the order, okay, of hydrogen bonding. Then coming to the chemical properties now. Very important, aliphatic amines. They are more basic than ammonia, and an aqueous solution, the basicity of methylamine is now. Methylamine is an exception, everybody. Keep in mind this entire order is exception. 2 degree amine is more basic, then primary, then tertiary. So it's 2, 1, 3, and then ammonia. That's for methyl. And what is the reason for this? The reason for this is 3 things. In aqueous solution, it is due to solvation. Second, we have that is steric hindrance. And third we have is inductive effect. All right. So due to these reasons, the basic nature means what? According to Lewis theory, how fast a lone pair can be donated for protonation. That's the part. So that's why 2 degree is more basic than 1 degree and 3 degree. But for ethylamine and higher amines, regular amines, the order is this: 2, 3, 1 ammonia. Only for methyl, it's 2, 1, 3 over there. That's because of these all effects. Whereas for ethyl and higher ones, it's 2, 3, 1 ammonia, and aromatic will be the lower than that. In non-aqueous solvents, aprotic solvents, the one which doesn't produce the proton, chlorobenzene, benzene, and in the gaseous state, the basic nature is 3, 2, 1 amine, where we say now there is no solvation here. All right. So here we only have steric hindrance and inductive effect, where 3 degree amine is maximum branched. So more the branching, more the strain coming on the nitrogen atom, and more the strain coming on the nitrogen atom, nitrogen will readily donate its lone pair of electron. So 3 degree amine will be most basic, then 2 degree, and then 1 degree. That's the part. So please remember the 3 orders. For methyl, it's 2, 1, 3 ammonia. For ethyl and higher ones, it's 2, 3, 1 ammonia. And for gaseous state and for non-aqueous solvents, it is 3, 2, 1 ammonia. Where you can also compare in terms of what we can call as Kb value and its P of Kb value, where we say larger the Kb, lower is the P of Kb, and stronger is the base. Larger the Kb, lower is its P of Kb, and stronger is the base. So P of Kb is minus log of Kb to the base 10. This is what we have done in the ionic part. And same way for acids. Larger the Ka, lower is the P of Ka, and stronger is the acid. Same formula there also. P of Ka is minus log of Ka to the base 10. That's what's done in carboxylic acids. Now what happens in aromatic amines? Aromatic amines, they are much weaker bases than ammonia due to, one is the plus R effect. What is plus R? Positive resonance. What is positive resonance or positive mesomerism? Electrons. Is this clear over there? What happens over there in positive resonance over there? We will say in positive resonance, electrons will move away from the atom, directly attached to the conjugated system, because of which the groups will be ortho and para directing groups will be formed over there. Matlab the substitution products will be at ortho and para position, where ortho are minor and para is major. Lone pair of electron on nitrogen is donated to the benzene ring. In other words, the lone pair of electron is delocalized. So if the lone pair is only not available for protonation, but obvious aromatic amines are weaker base. Plus R effect, positive resonance or positive mesomerism. So electron donating groups. What is electron donating? Plus I effect. Positive inductive effect. Alkyl groups, methoxy, amine, they will increase the basicity. Why? Because if they repel electrons, the electron density on the nitrogen atom will increase. It will readily donate its lone pair. Basic nature will increase. Whereas electron withdrawing substituents, minus I effect, electron attracting groups, nitro, cyanide, halogen, they will decrease the basicity. And the effects of the substituents are more at para than at meta position. Ortho substituted aniline are weaker base than aniline, regardless of the nature, whether it's electron donating or electron withdrawing. That's what we call as ortho effect. I discussed with you all earlier what is ortho effect. It is basically steric hindrance and the bond interactions at the ortho position, because of which we say ortho substituted aniline are weaker than aniline, regardless of whether there is a group which is electron donating plus I or electron attracting or electron withdrawing, that is minus I. These orders important. All the P of Kb values are there. No need to know the values because that will not be asked. The order with respect to toluidine, para, meta, aniline, and then ortho toluidine, ortho later because of the ortho effect. Same way aniline, aniline, meta, para, and then ortho aniline. Important is toluidine and aniline. Same way anisidine, para, aniline, ortho, and then meta. This one important. Aniline with respect to the chloro derivative. Aniline greater than para, then meta, and then ortho. The reason is there are two effects playing here. Minus I effect of Cl outweighs its plus R effect. Therefore, all the three, ortho, meta, para, chloro, anilines are weaker base than aniline, while ortho being the weakest base due to ortho effect. Then, further, since para chloroaniline shows both plus R and minus I, meta chloro will show only minus I because at meta position there is no resonance. Therefore, para is a stronger base than meta chloroaniline. So phenyl group wise, look at that. If you have more methyl groups, then that's a stronger base than one, than none. So if I talk about the fifth one, you have dimethyl, N, N, dimethyl phenylanilene, stronger base, then N-methyl phenylanilene. Sorry, first one was N, N, dimethyl aniline is a stronger base because of the two methyl groups which show plus I effect. Then N-methyl aniline, there's only one methyl showing plus I, greater than aniline which doesn't have any group as such. And phenyl group, just for your understanding, keep in mind, it shows the lowest minus I effect. How does it show minus I effect? Electron attracting nature, because of the sp2 hybrid nature of the carbon atoms of the benzene ring, because of that. And here again, basic nature mein aniline is a stronger base, then diphenylanilene, then triphenylamine. So aniline greater than diphenylamine, greater than triphenylamine. And with respect to methylamine is stronger because of plus I, then phenyl is weaker because of minus I, and last is ammonia there with respect to the part. Then next part about the aniline, what it says, look at that. Meta-nitroaniline is stronger than para because of NO2 cannot exert its stronger minus R effect at meta position, but only it can exert a weaker minus I effect. That's about the meta part. Same way, meta-anisidine is weaker base than aniline due to the minus I of methoxy group at meta position, because its plus R effect does not operate at meta position. So that way, all right. Then we also have coordinate compounds over there, because ammonia, amine, nitrogen as a lone pair. So it's basically a neutral ligand. It forms coordination complexes with silver cupric ions. AgCl dissolves methylamine and copper chloride, forming a deep blue solution with ethylamine. So it's basically a neutral ligand. Alkylation. Alkylation is primary reacts with 3 moles of alkyl halide. Why 3 moles? Primary first to secondary, secondary to tertiary, tertiary to QS. So primary requires 3 moles of alkyl halide to get converted to QS. Secondary will require 2 moles, one for tertiary, one for QS. And tertiary will require only 1 mole to form QS. That's the part. These quaternary ammonium salts, on reacting with moist silver oxide, it forms its hydroxides, and the hydroxides are strongly basic. So look at this part carefully, what it says. Now an important point to talk: exhaustive methylation. That is, you convert the amines into its QS with excess of methyl iodide. That's why the word exhaustive methylation. Methyl iodide because iodide is the best nucleophile, and methyl due to its plus I effect. That's why. So ethylamine, you will have 3 methyl groups coming because this is a 1 degree amine. So 1 degree amine will consume 3 moles to give you ethyl trimethyl ammonium iodide. Then a very, very important reaction, which is a contrast to Sadzav's rule, exactly opposite of Sadzav's rule. That's what we call as Hofmann's elimination reaction. So first you converted your quaternary ammonium salt into quaternary ammonium hydroxides. And these hydroxides, when you heated them, then what happens? It basically will form alkenes with respect to the least substituted beta hydrogen atoms. So look at that. Pyrolysis of quaternary ammonium hydroxide gives less substituted alkene with the elimination of a tertiary amine. So look at that compound. Sec-butyl trimethyl ammonium hydroxide, if you take, then methyl methyl, there is no beta because it itself is only 1 carbon, but the sec-butyl has got 2 beta. Now out of the 2 beta, where the number of beta, normally Sadzav's rule may we say elimination is removal of beta hydrogen from the beta carbon having least number. Here it is exactly contrast, exactly opposite of it. The beta hydrogen, carbon having the beta hydrogen more will be the major product. So if this is the one which is the one with major product on the left. So if I remove that and a double bond comes, but-1-ene is a major product, and the other one where the beta are only 2, that will be a minor product, but-2-ene. So exactly opposite of Sadzav. So it says, in contrast, Sadzav's elimination of alkyl halide and dehydration of alcohol gave a highly substituted alkene. Here you got a least substituted alkene as a major product. Understand the difference. So in Hofmann's elimination, you get a least substituted alkene. Least substituted meaning to the CC double bond, you have the least number of alkyl groups. So look at this carefully. To the CC bond, if I have to catch, there is only 1 ethyl group here. Left hand side pe CH2 is. CH2 is not an alkyl. So least substituted will be a major product. Least substituted alkene means to the CC double bond, you have the least number of alkyl groups. And but-2-ene is only 5 because here there are more alkyl groups attached to the CC double bond. So this is not least substitute. This is the more substitute. That's why the percentage is only 5. So exactly opposite of contrast to what we have of Sadzav. Sadzav is both for alkyl halides as well as alcohols. Then you get a highly substituted alkene. What is highly substituted alkene? More alkyl groups attached to the CC double bond. So look at that. 2-chlorobutane. If I do beta elimination with alcoholic KOH, who has the least number of beta H? This one. So that would be a major product. So from alpha the Cl goes, beta will go from here. So major product but-2-ene because there are more alkyl groups attached to the CC double bond. But-2-ene major. Whereas same situation and but-1-ene minor because there's only 1 alkyl group. All right. So remember, Hoffman's elimination is nothing but it's a contrast to Satzav's rule. All right. In Satzav's rule, you get an alkene which is highly substituted, whereas in Hoffman elimination, you get an alkene which is least substituted. Then comes what we have as acylation. Acylation is basically acetylation. Acylation is RCO group, depending upon which group you substitute. Acetylation is specifically the group that is COCH3 group. That's acetyl group. Done by 1 degree and 2 degree amines, but not by 3 degree amines because there is no H to be substituted. It is usually, which are the acetylating reagents? Acetyl chloride or acetic anhydride. Both contain the COCH3 group. Either with pyridine or with conc H2SO4, it forms N substituted amides. But what is that? Methylamine, one of the H will go with Cl. You will get N-methyl acetamide, or the other way to write it can also be written as N-acetyl methanamine. Now question is, now there is still CH3NH, right? So still there is one more H, but that H will be in resonance with the carbonyl group. So primary, in spite of having two replaceable H, it only undergoes one acetylation. Is this clear? So it only forms one product with acetylation. The second H is not replaceable due to resonance. Aniline there. Aniline also only one H will go. So you get N-phenyl acetamide, or you just call it as acid anilide. That is one. And same if you use a benzoyl group, then it's called benzoylation, which is C6H5CO group. That's called the benzoyl group. And if you use benzoyl chloride, the reaction is called Schotten-Baumann reaction. Just the name, what you need to understand. So with aniline, one H goes with the Cl, and you have the benzoyl group coming. That's called as benzaniline. That's called Schotten-Baumann reaction. All right. So primary consumes only 1 mole of acetyl chloride. If I talk in terms of secondary, secondary will also consume only 1 because secondary also has only 1 replaceable H. Tertiary will not undergo acetylation. So acetylation is basically a test which is used to distinguish primary and tertiary, secondary and tertiary. Primary consumes 1 mole, tertiary does not consume. Secondary consumes 1 mole, tertiary does not consume. So, but this reaction cannot be used to distinguish primary and secondary, because primary, secondary both consume only 1 mole each of acetyl chloride or acetic anhydride. That's acylation. Then the next one we have, that's the formation of the Skiffs base, what we see. What exactly is this part? Look at that. Skiffs base are compound that is C double bond N obtained by the condensation of 1 degree aliphatic amines with aldehydes or ketones with a few drops of a catalyst. We have seen that. 1 degree amines with aldehydes or ketones. Skiffs base, aldehydes and ketones, if anybody remembers, what was the part? If I take an aldehyde and I react with a primary amine, RNH2, condensation reaction, minus water in a weakly acidic medium, we get RCH double bond NH. This is what we can call as the imine salt, or we also call it as Skiffs base. That's the part. However, aldehydes and ketones having alpha H atom react with secondary amine in presence of PTS. PTS is para-toluene sulfonic acid. That's the short form, para-toluene. So please write that, PTS, para-toluene sulfonic acid, to form alpha beta unsaturated amines called as N-amines. N, En means a double bond and an amine. So look at that. Ethylamine with acid aldehyde. So what will happen here? Removal of water. And we get the compound ethylidene ethylamine. How ethylidene? CH3CH is the ethylidene group. So ethylidene ethylamine. That's a Skiffs base. What is formed over there? So N-amine. En, matlab a double bond and an amine group. Same way, one more example. Cyclohexanone. Correction there. It should be double bond here. along with piperidine, then it forms an N-amine, N-amine ene for this part and amine because of nitrogen. Okay. This is an extra point just for understanding there. Important part is the formation of Schiff's base, that is one. And the above part important, that is Hofmann's, what we can call as nothing but the elimination reaction. Then next one, yes, this is an important one, carbylamine reaction or preparation of isocyanide. What is the part here? Both aliphatic and aromatic primary amines with chloroform and alcoholic KOH gives isocyanide or carbylamine, which have a disagreeable odor, unpleasant odor. So RNH2, the R just becomes RNC, isocyanide. And very important, this test is only given by 1 degree amine. So this is basically to distinguish 1 degree aliphatic and aromatic from 2 degree and 3 degree amine. So 2 degree and 3 degree amine will never give a carbyl amine test. Keep that in mind. It will only try to this test. So for carbyl amine or preparation of isocyanide, I require 3 things. Haloform, that's chloroform. Second, I require over there nothing but alcoholic potash, that's alcoholic KOH. And third, primary amine, aliphatic or aromatic. Reaction with nitrous acid, very, very important reaction. Primary amines, aromatic amines, if you talk, then they react with nitrous acid, that is HNO2 by the action of NaNO2 and dilute HCl. At a low temperature of 273 to 278 Kelvin, it forms disonium salt, that is ArN2 plus X minus. That's called diazotization. It's a French word, diazo, means 2 atoms of nitrogen together. So if you take aniline, you will get a disonium salt. It says the temperature should not rise above 5 degrees, otherwise disonium salt will decompose to give phenol. So if the temperature goes above, look at that, disonium salt with water about 278, it forms phenol. Whereas aliphatic, they will give you alcohols with the evolution of nitrogen gas, except methylamine. Methylamine gives effervescence of nitrogen, but it does not give methanol. Methylamine either may give you dimethyl ether or it may give you nitromethane. Keep that in mind. Methylamine is an exception which reacts with HNO2 to liberate nitrogen gas, but it does not give methanol. Depending on the conditions, it may either give dimethyl ether or it may give nitromethane. So that's the part. So an aliphatic will give you respective alcohols. So a direct convert reaction from amines to alcohols. Yeah. Aliphatic, like aromatic, react to form its disonium salt, which on heating gives you alcohol. Now, along with this, it says it also gives small amount of alkene and alkyl halides. So mainly the main product formed is ethanol. That's the major product. Then secondary amines, both aliphatic and aromatic, react with nitrous acid to give yellow oily liquid. That's a nitroso derivative. N double bond O is called the nitroso group. So it will give you yellow oily liquid. So diethylamine gives N-nitroso diethylamine, or an aromatic one, N-methylaniline, gives you N-nitroso. This is the nitroso group. N-nitroso, N-methylaniline. So primary aliphatic gives you alcohol along with effervescence of nitrogen, except methylamine, which gives nitrogen but does not give alcohol. It may give dimethyl ether or nitromethane. Aromatic 1 degree amine with HNO2 gives you a disonium salt. But the temperature goes above 278, it will give phenol. 2 degree aliphatic and aromatic, both with HNO2, gives you yellow oily liquids. And next one we have, that's with respect to a tertiary amine. So this process, which involves the replacement of H by a nitroso group, is called nitrosation. When warmed, now this is a very, very important test, mainly given by nitroso derivative. हम लोग कैसे बोलते हैं? Iodoform test. That's basically what comes in your mind when I say the word positive iodoform test. Aldehyde or ketone will have 3 replaceable alpha H, or alcohol will have 3 replaceable beta H. That way. Same way, a test for nitroso group called Liberman's nitroso test. Look at that. When a nitroso derivative is warmed with phenol with few drops of conc H2SO4, nitrosamine first gives a green coloration, which turns blue on treatment with NaOH and then turns red when you dilute the solution. So you take your nitroso derivative, yellow oily liquid, add a crystal of phenol and conc H2SO4. First, a green color is developed. Then when you add an alkali, green changes to blue. And when you dilute with water, it gets converted to red color. That's called Liberman's nitrosoamine test. Test for both aliphatic and secondary amines. N-nitrosoamines are potent carcinogenic compounds. They are cancer-causing agents. So that's a test mainly for nitroso derivatives. ये हो गया 2 degree. Last part, aliphatic tertiary amines, open chain with nitrous acid forms soluble nitrite salts, which are water soluble. Okay. Whereas aromatic, this is very important. Aromatic tertiary amines undergo electrophilic substitution in the benzene ring to give nitrosoamine derivative. So 2 degree aliphatic and 2 degree aromatic and 3 degree aromatic. 2 degree aliphatic, 2 degree aromatic and 3 degree aromatic. All three with HNO2 gives you a nitroso derivative. So look at that. Aliphatic triethylamine with HNO2. What is it forming over there? Nitrogen straight away in a triethylamine will try to donate its lone pair to one of the H, and this will become NO2 minus. So it becomes triethylammonium nitrite, which is a water soluble colorless salt. Now primary mein, when nitrogen is coming out, there'll be effervescence of nitrogen. Secondary mein, it will be a yellow oily liquid. Now in tertiary, as it is a water soluble salt, it is considered that 3 degree amines do not react with nitrous acid. Catch the word considered. It does react to form a salt, but it is water soluble. So there are no color changes. So as there are no color changes, it is considered as no reaction, but it does form a water soluble nitrite salt. Nitrite is NO2 minus. Whereas if you take a 3 degree aromatic, NN dimethyl aniline, look at that. 3 degree aromatic. The para position H and OH are given out and it forms a nitroso derivative. Para nitroso NN dimethyl aniline. That's your yellow oily liquid. Mark this reaction important. 3 degree aromatic. Okay. Next one, a very important reaction. What we did in hydrocarbon part, uska link hai. What is that? Very important. Listen carefully. Grignard's reagent decomposes with any source of proton to its respective hydrocarbon. So Grignard's reagent can combine with water, alcohols, carboxylic acids, primary amines and secondary amines and pick up the H, and the alkyl group of Grignard will get converted to respective alkane. That's what the next part is. Reaction with RMGX, Grignard's reagent. 1 degree and 2 degree react with Grignard to form alkanes or arenes corresponding to the alkyl or aryl group of Grignard's reagent. I'll talk with I'll give you both the reactions. Reaction with Grignard's, if I take a primary amine, that's RNH2, and react with Grignard, CH3 MgI, because we all know methyl magnesium iodide is the best Grignard's reagent. What will happen? The alkyl group of Grignard, that is this methyl, will pick up one of the H. So my compound formed is methane, and the rest will be its salt. That will be RNH. That is one part what it forms. Then it will be MgI. Alkyl ammonium magnesium iodide. So primary ka 1H will be picked up by the Grignard. Give an example of secondary also, it will be similar. Look at that. Suppose I am having a, R2NH. I'll write it over here. That's a secondary amine. This reacts with Grignard's reagent, CH3MgI. Again, the same thing. Grignard ka, who will form the alkane? The alkyl or aryl group of Grignard's reagent. That's the part. This will pick up this H. So I will be getting methane plus, I'll get the salt, R2N MgI, dialkyl ammonium magnesium iodide. Okay, that's the part. Then the next one we have reaction with carbon disulfide. This is also an extra, but it is an important reaction. This is what we also call as Hoffman's mustard oil reaction. It is a test for 1 degree amine. It's an extra point, but important. Aliphatic 1 degree amines on warming with carbon disulfide. It forms dithioalkyl carbamic acids, which on heating with mercury chloride gives alkyl isothiocyanates. Now, when I say the word alkyl isothiocyanates, matlab what? N double bond C double bond S. Thio is for sulfur. And they have a characteristic smell of mustard oil. That's why it's called Hoffman's mustard oil reaction used to detect 1 degree amine. I'm giving the reaction. Please write it down so that you know what this reaction is exactly over there. So to know this reaction, we can point it out in a way. Hoffman's mustard oil reaction will be, suppose I take, okay, all right, say an amine over there, nothing but ethylamine, C2H5 NH2, and this reacts with carbon disulfide in presence of HgCl2, that's mercury chloride. Then it forms the compound CH3 CH2 N double bond C double bond S, and along with this it gives H2S as a byproduct. That's the part. So it's called ethyl isothiocyanate. Please make a note. Ethyl isothiocyanate. And that has got a smell of mustard oil. That's reaction with carbon disulfide. Then next one, reaction with phosgene. Now with phosgene over there, it forms this an extra reaction. Phosgene we all know, na, COCl2. That's phosgene. Chloroform undergoes aerial oxidation. Is this clear? To form phosgene, deadly poisonous gas. That's why we add a inhibitor. That is nothing but 2% ethanol is added. If anybody remembers, we did that in surface chemistry. 1 degree and 2 degree amines react with phosgene to form a substituted urea, while aromatic 1 degree amine gives phenyl isocyanate. It's an extra reaction, so don't bother. Next is oxidation. This is also an extra part. What is that? 1 degree aliphatic amines on oxidation with KMnO4. First one, important people. Followed by hydrolysis with aldehydes or ketones gives, gives aldehydes or ketones. So you can convert a 1 degree aliphatic amine into aldehyde or ketone. Is this clear? Whereas a 2 degree aliphatic amine will give a tetra alkyl hydrazine. So just remember the first line only. 1 degree aliphatic amine will give you aldehydes or ketones. Whereas Caro's acid, that is H2SO5, we have done the P block part, or H2O2. 2 degree aliphatic amines will give over there N-hydroxyamines. 3 degree amines are not oxidized by KMnO4, but are oxidized by Caro's acid to give corresponding nitrogen oxides. Oxidation, everything is extra except that first line over there. That's it. 1 degree aliphatic with KMnO4 on hydrolysis will give you aldehydes or ketones. Then the next reaction we have 1 degree amines in which NH2 is attached to a tertiary carbon can be oxidized to KMnO4 to the corresponding nitro compound in excellent yield. This is a very important one. This is there in the preparation of nitro compounds also. All right. So 1 degree amine is attached. Matlab, if I have something like this, R, R dash, R double dash, NH2. So this is a primary amine, okay, not a tertiary amine because NH2. And this reacts with 3 nascent oxygen coming from KMnO4. I will get the compound R dash, R double dash, NO2 plus water. Now nitroalkanes are characterized with respect to nature of carbon, not nitrogen. So here the nature is 3 degree. So this is a 3 degree nitroalkane. That's what it says. Okay. So you get over there nothing but corresponding. So you have a 1 degree amine getting converted to a 3 degree nitroalkane. 2 methyl propan 2 amine. That is, if I put 3 methyl groups in that NH2 part, then that will give me 2 methyl 2 nitropropane. That is this only on the right side, what is formed. Aromatic amines are easily oxidized with potassium dichromate. Aniline gives aniline black. Control oxidation, however, gives para benzoquinone. Para benzoquinone is this compound. Okay. Phenol gets converted to benzoquinone. It turns pink into color because phenol gets oxidized to benzoquinone. That's this one. The next one is Cope elimination. That is also an extra point. You don't need to know that. I'll just read it out. And then is the last part, last two parts. One is electrophilic substitution, reaction of aromatic amines and diazotization and azo groups. Tertiary amine oxides, in which at least one alkyl group containing a beta H is heated to 423 to 473 Kelvin. It eliminates a molecule of dimethyl hydroxylamine to yield an alkene. So 3 degree amine oxides, which contains at least one alkyl group containing a beta H. So look at that, dimethyl isopropylamine with H2O2, it forms its oxide. Dimethyl isopropylamine oxide, which if you heat, you will get propene over there. This part will get propene over there. And an alkyl group should have beta H. Next to the end, this is alpha, these are the beta. That reaction is what we call as Cope elimination. But we don't have this part, it's an extra part. Like Hoffman, it is used to determine the structure of amines, preparation of alkenes from tertiary amines. Now going to the aromatic substitution part of benzene. Strong activating group of the amino. NH2 is ortho para activating group. They undergo electrophilic substitution. However, the reactions are difficult to stop at the mono substitution state. Hence, to stop at the mono substitution state, the reactivity of amino group is reduced by protection. You protect the group, that is acetylation with acetyl chloride or acetic anhydride. So we'll convert the amino group to its acid anilide group, then carry out bromination or nitration, what we have, and then on hydrolysis, restore the acid anilide group back into, that is NHCOCH3 back to amino group. So with bromine water, it gives a white precipitate of 2,4,6 tribromoaniline. Similar to phenols reacting with bromine water to give you a white precipitate of 2,4,6 tribromophenol. That's the test of unsaturation part. Acetylation of aniline followed by bromination and subsequent acid or alkaline hydrolysis gives a mixture of orthobromoaniline minor and parabromoaniline major. So first aniline is reacted with acetyl chloride. It gets converted to over there nothing but acid anilide. Then carry out bromination at ortho and para. And then on hydrolysis, the NHCOCH3 group is converted back to amino group. Controlled nitration with conc HNO3 and conc H2SO4. That's called a nitrating mixture. It gives you para-nitroaniline 51%, meta is 47%, and ortho is only 2%. Here, very, very important, how meta-nitroaniline is formed, because in strongly acidic medium, part of aniline, that is benzene C6H5NH2, gets converted to anilinium ion, C6H5NH3+. And anilinium ion is meta-directing. So as anilinium ion is meta-directing, a good amount of meta-nitroaniline is also produced. That's one of the reasons what could be asked here. That's important. Then acetylation of aniline followed by nitration and subsequent hydrolysis gives you orthonitroaniline minor, para-nitroaniline major. Last reaction, sulfonation with conc H2SO4, that's around 455 to 475 Kelvin, gives sulfanilic acid. Sulfanilic acid is benzene ring with NH2 and SO3H group. That's sulfanilic acid. which exists as a zwitterion NH3 plus SO3 minus. Zwitterion is basically like an internal salt. Lowry-Bronsted theory. SO3H will donate the proton, NH2 will gain the proton. So it becomes NH3 plus and SO3 minus. It's called a dipolar ion. You have both the charges there. Okay. This is also what we'll see in biomolecules protein part. Alpha amino acid at a particular P of H, they exist as zwitterion. Important intermediate in the manufacture of sulfur drugs, this zwitterion, like sulfathiazole, sulfadiazine and all. Sulfur drugs are mainly all the antifungal drugs, what we have. All skin infections which are antifungal, we use the sulfur drugs. Then, test of amines. Solubility, amines are soluble in dilute HCl or dilute H2SO4. Hinzburg test. What was Hinzburg test? It's for 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree amines, that is benzene sulfonyl chloride with aqueous KOH. Now, what are the tests? Primary amine gives N-alkyl benzene sulfonamide, which is soluble in KOH. 2 degree amine gives NN dialkyl benzene sulfonamide, which is insoluble in KOH. And 3 degree amine does not react. That's where you use to separate a mixture of 1, 2, and 3 degree amines. We've also spoken about carbylamines. Carbylamine test mainly given only by 1 degree amine, not by 2 degree and 3 degree amines. Then the azodie test. This is the CT. That's with beta naphthol. Confirmatory test in the laboratory to detect primary amines. Cold solution of 1 degree amine with HCl. That is HCl and NaNO2. That's at 0 to 5. And then adding alkaline solution of beta naphthol, a red dye is formed. It's for distinguishing 1 degree aromatic from 1 degree aliphatic. Mark this line important. It's called the red dye test. 1 degree aromatic with NaNO2 and HCl and beta naphthol. 0 to 5 gives you a red dye. Aniline forms a salt with Lewis acid, aluminum chloride. That's AlCl3. Look at that. What happens? Nitrogen will try to, it becomes NH2 plus and AlCl3 minus over there. All right. Due to this salt formation, that is NH2 plus AlCl3 minus group is a strong deactivating group. Hence, Friedel-Crafts reaction is not possible here. Like we have seen Friedel-Crafts reaction in halogenation. All right. With respect to aromatic amines aniline, Friedel-Crafts reaction is not possible because aniline with the Lewis acid, aluminum chloride, it forms a salt over there. And that salt, that is NH2 plus AlCl3 minus, is a deactivating group. That's why there is no Friedel-Crafts alkylation or acylation possible. That's an important point here. Then comes the diazonium salts. What we have, the reactions of diazotizations. What are the products of diazonium salts? A lot of reactions. NaNO2 and HCl or with H2SO4. When you react on any aromatic primary amine, then that reaction is called diazotization. 1 mole of amine with 3 moles of an acid, 1 mole of amine with HNO2, here all this part, diazonium salt, and then it also forms an azodie test. We'll come to the azodie part where a diazonium salt reacts with groups which are orthopara directing, showing plus R effect, like phenol, or we can also have aniline to give you respective para amino azobenzene. Is this clear? Or we also have as nothing but what I can call para hydroxy azobenzene. Those are the dyes which are formed. So diazonium salt is basically formation of Ar N2 plus X minus. That's the salt what it forms. That's diazotization. Okay. Primary amine with NaNO2 and HCl. Or you can use NaNO2 and H2SO4 also, any acidic medium. Stability, diazonium salts are more stable. The aromatic are more stable than aliphatic due to dispersal of the positive charge over the benzene ring. Aromatic diazonium salts, keep in mind, it shows minus R effect. Is this clear? It shows minus R effect where we say the electron cloud will move over there towards the atom which is directly attached. It shows resonance. Physical state, They are generally colorless crystalline, stable only between 0 to 5. And that's why they are always prepared in situ. Reactivity. They are highly reactive due to their excellent ability of diazo group, where leaving groups, nitrogen atom N2 breaks, N2 AR N2 plus X minus. So the two nitrogen atoms are given out as nitrogen gas. That's one. That's why it has the reactivity is better. Now the reactions over there. First one, reacting with H. Matlab substituting diazo group by H. That is heating with H3PO2, hypophosphorus acid and cuprous ion, CuCl, that is Cu plus 1 state, or with ethanol. So in the conversions, whenever you see in the arrow, H3PO2 with CuCl or with ethanol, diazonium salt entirely is replaced by H. Then replacing OH by boiling with dilute H2SO4. So diazonium salt becomes, if it's an aromatic diazonium salt, it becomes phenol. That's part. Then next is diazonium salt on heating with CuCl HCl or CuBr HBr. That is, we know we have done in haloarenes, Sandmeyer's reaction. Or if you use copper powder in HCl or copper powder in HBr, then that's called Gattermann's reaction. Products will be the same. CuCl HCl will give me chlorobenzene. CuBr HBr will give me bromobenzene. Same products with copper powder and HBr, but with powder form, surface area available is more, so greater is the rate of adsorption. That's Gattermann's reaction. Then diazonium salt, if you heat with aqueous potassium iodide, you get over there iodobenzene. So we can prepare all the haloarenes with diazonium salt. Sandmeyer will give me chlorobromo. Then with potassium iodide, we get iodobenzene. Then heating the diazonium salt with KCN or CuCN or KCN with copper powder, we get cyanobenzene, benzene ring with cyanide. This is an important one. Diazonium group substituted by F. That's, if anybody remembers, Ball-Schiemann reaction. What was that? You'll take your aniline. Aniline you react with NaNO2 and HbF4. So you will get a salt, benzene diazonium tetrafluoroborate, which if you heat further, it gives you fluorobenzene plus it gives you BF3. That's the part. So diazonium tetrafluoroborates, which on heating will give you fluorobenzene. Replacing the diazonium salt by NO2 group, that is by heating the diazonium tetrafluoroborates with NaNO2 and copper powder. And replacing the diazonium salt by phenyl group is by heating with benzene and NaOH. That's called the Gomberg reaction. That's an extra point. The rest all we have except the last one. Last point to talk, that's about the coupling reaction. Coupling is formation of azo compounds, which is single bond N, double bond N, and a single bond. N double bond N group. That's called the azo compounds. That's when diazonium salt reacts with phenol in a basic medium, weakly basic medium, pH of 9 to 10. Then it forms over there with phenol, it's going to form para-hydroxy azobenzene. Or with diazonium salts reacting with aniline in a weakly acidic medium of pH of 4 to 5. That's going to form para-amino azobenzene. Then an acid base indicator, we all know methyl orange. That's for acid base indicator we use. All right. That's prepared by coupling diazonium salt of sulfanilic acid with N and dimethyl aniline. So just know this part. Okay, how is methyl orange prepared? Then we have the last part, reduction. Reduction of diazonium salt with stannous chloride and HCl or sodium sulfide or sodium hydrosulfide. It gives arene hydrazine. For example, under these conditions, the diazonium chloride gives phenyl hydrazine. I hope anybody remembers phenyl hydrazine, C6H5, NH, NH2. Aldehydes or ketones react with phenyl hydrazine to give respective phenyl hydrazones. So that's the part reduction. Last line, example only important. Okay, in these conditions over there, what happens is benzene diazonium salt, if you react with SnCl2 and HCl or Na2SO3, it gives you phenyl hydrazine. And last is basically the table what is put up of all the diazonium salt reactions. Well, look at that. Diazonium salt, benzene diazonium chloride with HbF4. benzene disonium tetrafluoroborate, which on heating gives you fluorobenzene. That's my Bals-Schiemann reaction. Disonium tetrafluoroborate with NaNO2 and copper. That's formation of nitrobenzene. That's one. Going up, disonium salt. If you react with methanol, then that gives you over there nothing but C6H5OCH3. That's anisole. With KCN and with KCN or CuCN, it forms cyanobenzene. H3PO2 is reduction. It will just give you benzene. Copper powder and HCl, that's chlorobenzene sandmia. Copper powder HBr, bromobenzene. And with Ki, iodobenzene. So all those compounds. Then the Gomberg reaction, diphenyl, what it forms over there, just disonium salt, the two phenyl groups will be combined. That's an extra part. Then comes the coupling reaction. Look at that. Disonium salt with phenol gives you para hydroxy azobenzene. And same way coupling with aniline, it gives you para amino azobenzene. And with SnCl2 and HCl, disonium salt will get converted to phenyl hydrazine. All right. These are the reactions part what we have with respect to the aniline part and the disonium salts.